to have profit from a single order when you don't have critical mass, then you might end up with a very high price, and that might be a barrier to adoption. I'm just concerned about that aspect, so a couple of thoughts.
Yeah, definitely, thank you.
Yep.
Timmy, I love hustle. I love hustling for your first customer, so bravo to you. I enjoyed the presentation. Well done. Great lesson for all the entrepreneurs here about going analog to digital and forcing yourself to have to figure out your scalability. So I like the new presentation and some of the players. So one of the things you talked a little bit about, just asked some different questions, is about expanding to Dallas, knowing some of these other players in the market that's been more northeast, dense markets or so. You walk us through a little bit about why you're thinking about scaling out to another city when you're still coming out of beta. What is the part that you see there that is opportunistic or that you have to be in? It's usually a big challenge. When do you go out and scale? Right. Is this different?
Yeah, so to speak to that, the idea behind that is, going to Dallas, right now there's no on-demand ride planning app in Dallas, and we would love to be the first mover in Dallas. And the good thing about that is we don't have to go to all parts of Dallas. We could literally go to uptown Dallas, downtown Dallas, and midtown Dallas and establish a presence there that has the density. And that way, all the overhead and the challenges are greatly mitigated because we are really focused on just that one area. And then we'll learn a lot about the Dallas market, because even though the Dallas market and the Houston market are very similar, I'm quite sure there are nuances to those markets as well. And that'll give us a chance to learn about those markets. And when we are, well expanded in Houston and now want to ramp up in Dallas, then we don't have to start from scratch learning about the market. We actually have some market data, we have some customers, and we can leverage that knowledge to scale. So that's the idea behind it.
So just a suggestion there, Colin Powell's got this great quote from way back in the IRI world. He said, identify your target, surround the target, kill the target. Right? And just think about that from the standpoint of expanding from the fourth largest city in the country right now, where you're just coming out of beta, versus what might be on a longer term horizon. I'm curious, one of the things, like as an entrepreneur, you have a thesis and then you learn something in the product, right? There's like the unintended consequences or so. Can you talk to us a little bit about something within your original thesis where you stumbled upon or learned that was really interesting that you weren't expecting? It was an unexpected consequence, good or bad?
Yeah, well, let's see. So I guess the first thing was, what Barat alluded to earlier was the fact that, we knew we had something, but we wanted to prove what we had first, and we just we kept a list on Yelp. And we had people, and the idea was like you call in and we come pick up the clothes. And we didn't, I didn't think it was gonna work. I was like, oh, let's just try it. And it actually works. Like people would call in and they would use the service, and it works. We showed up to their doors, picked up the clothes, delivered it back to them. They were like, oh, that's cool. And they kept using the service. As a matter of fact, if I remember my first customer, I literally, walked into a subdivision, knocked on doors, and like, oh, I do dry cleaning. And perfect strangers would give me their stuff to go clean, and I'm like, okay, no, seriously.
They don't provide a good job.
Yeah, I clean Rolexes.
I'm like, no, you really hate. And I was like, you really hate doing laundry and dry cleaning for your trust. So, that was really cool, just, being able to just go through that and find out what you're actually going to use the service. And I guess initially as well too, with our first cleaning partner, we had some challenges with quality. And despite the quality issues, our customers would still come back. We'll deliver their clothes late, they will still come back. And that was, really, huge motivating factor for us to push where we are today.
Yeah. So just in standpoint of time, one of the things, if part of this is a B2C versus your B2B, a suggestion would be really, thinking about what your customer acquisition cost, because, if this has been no marketing to date, you're thinking of scaling. At some point, right, that becomes the real litmus test of what's your acquisition cost, and then what's that life cycle of your customer. So I would think through that, your economics. Also, you've got your revenue piece of your model, but then really how does it equate down into how much you make or how much the business makes? Between here's our actual cost of fulfillment, both on the delivery side as well as on the actual dry cleaning side. So something to think about there. And then just, the other part here is, I think, if there's a mechanism to move people, probably more to Roberto's point too, move them to a subscription where it becomes recurring versus this repeatable, or, you have more visibility. It's going to help you think through with that acquisition cost. But I love your hustle. I would just have you just really think about whether or not Dallas, I think there's enough here to go kill here, right, and go get more validation. And I think as an investor, an investor's going to have a challenging time saying, why don't you go to another market when we really haven't scaled the business in these things. So,
Absolutely.
Great job.
Thank you.
Next up, we got Shirley.
How you guys doing? All right. So, I am, you guys ready? Yep. I'm Tarek Hassan from Assurely, and Assurely simply is insurance for the crowdfunding industry. Okay. Everybody familiar with Kickstarter here? Indiegogo, rewards crowdfunding? Okay, so currently when you invest on a rewards crowdfunding platform, and that reward is not delivered, as you might have been seeing in the media lately, what happens? You lose your money, right? So with Assurely, you can top off your investment with a small premium, right? It comes to us, we underwrite it, and when that reward is not delivered, we'll give you back your entire investment, okay? And that's on the reward side, okay? That was our first product. Now we have two products, okay? You guys might have seen AIG start to get into this yesterday. But we've been working on this for 2 years. And basically now equity crowdfunding is going to be big, right? So it's like rewards crowdfunding, but when you invest in an equity crowdfunding portal, you get shares back instead of rewards, right? So Title III just passed on May 16th. So the government, everyone's looking for a way to kind of mitigate the risk of these high-risk investments for unaccredited investors, right? So we're the answer to that, right? So when somebody invests in equity crowdfunding on these portals, right, and the business they invested in fails for some reason, we can actually give them some of their money back depending on when the business fails. Okay, so currently, when you invest in a business, it fails, like a lot of startups do, you lose your money. With Assurely, we figured out an algorithm to where we can pay them back some of their money depending on when the business fails. Okay, so we've got two products, one for the reward side, one for the equity side. Here's some numbers right here. 300 million, as of May 16th, there's now 300 million unaccredited investors in the United States. These guys can invest on equity crowdfunding portals. So the game has changed, right? And there's a huge market out there. That's on top of the 8 million plus accredited investors currently out there that are always looking to mitigate their risk as well. And then just on a side note, 3.3 million people globally invested in rewards crowdfunding campaigns in 2015. Okay? So the team is myself, I deal with the sales, business development, marketing type stuff. And then Dallin Masterson is the genius behind us. And he's the data scientist. He does the modeling, right, for both of our products. And he helps them evolve, and he also does some coding as well. Okay? So our go-to-market strategy is what we have been doing. We've been laying the foundation right now. We've been kind of contacting a lot of different investors, angel investors, as you can see. We've been reaching out to entrepreneurs who are trying to attract investors to their campaigns, right? And this is a way to mitigate the risk for the investors when they invest in their ideas, right? So it's a win-win situation. Angel association and groups, they like to invest together, right? So this is a way to kind of divvy up that premium. It's not so high when you spread it across 100 people or so. And then, of course, we're creating APIs to connect to the crowdfunding portal themselves. Okay, so when somebody invests, it'll pop up with Assure it. Would you like to assure it? and it gives them their unique calculation based on the industry they're investing in and how much their investment is, and they top it off, and then we get the money. Obviously, we're partnered, or we're going to be partnered with an insurance company to do the back end, because there's a lot of regulations, right? And then once they submit a claim, we'll take care of them at the end. And that is it. If you'd like to contact us, please do. Thank you for your time.
So I have to say that, I love the idea, because I've lost a lot of money doing angel investing in startups that didn't work,
Yeah.
right? Now, having said that, I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
I would like that. So my first question would be, what is the cost? Give me a different scenario,
Okay.
right? What would be, I can set the parameters, you can set the parameters. Give me a
Sure.
scenario of an average deal size, an average investor, average investment size, and how much would the insurance premium be?
Okay. So reward side, it's going to average between 10 and 15% premium based on what category you're investing into, right? How long the campaign is and how much your investment is. It creates a unique calculation. On the equity crowdfunding side, right, it's based on the industry you're investing into, okay? And this is based on a lot of historical data and how much your investment is. The bigger your investment, the smaller the premium. Now, our model is pretty robust to where we can actually insure from years 1 through 20, but we're not going to insure years 1 and 2 because obviously everybody knows what happens during that time period. But even if we did, the premiums would be so high, right, that nobody would pay for it, okay? So to answer your question, on the equity crowdfunding side, it's going to range probably from 15 to 20%.
So, but then walk me through those years. What you're saying is that if it fails in the very first year, I get nothing.
Yes, that's right. Now, we can always adjust it later depending if the business has been, so we're entering more factors, right? So if the business has been in operation for 2 or 3 years, obviously it's made it through that rough patch, right? So the premium goes down because it starts at whenever they bought the insurance, right? But for startups, we're not going to insure the first 2 years right now until we're adding more data as we move forward.
And the cost of premium would be also like 15%, you say?
For years 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, so if it fails in years 3, 4, and 5, now this is our starting point. We can always tweak this. We can change it. We can affect the profit loading. We can pay out more in year 3, less in 4, less in 7, more in 7. But basically, the way it is right now, the way we're starting is 25% payout of your investment in years 3, 4, 5, and then you get 50% of your investment back if it fails in year 6, and then 75% back if it fails in year 7. Okay.
So I have a couple of issues just with that model, right?
Sure.
Which is, the first one is, on average, if I'm doing angel investment, the average return of the class has been about 25, 27%, so some other figures, depending on, by the Kaplan Foundation, depending on who you believe, what figures you take, right?
Okay.
But when you take 15% off, then, my average return, if I have a portfolio, and I insure my portfolio is going to go down to like 10, 12%. But it's not
So
covered.
good.
It's not covered until the first, if I take the number of businesses that failed the first 2 years, right?
Yeah.
Then I end up getting a return which is less than the stock market. So, how have you talked to investors about,
Yes.
insuring this? And what is the type of investor that feels that it's an acceptable cost?
So, good question. So, unaccredited investors, they don't have the education to invest in these high-risk startups. They can't invest as much as you can, right? They can't diversify their portfolio. So it's like a one-time thing per year, maybe 2 or 3, right? So this could attract them easily. Plus, their premiums are pretty low. The payment on top of their small investment is not going to be that significant, right? But there's a huge volume of unaccredited investors, right? But someone like yourself, I'm assuming, is an accredited investor, right? You might diversify your portfolio, so you're kind of hedging the risk that way. But then there might be, most of the time, you're pretty smart, so you probably, you don't need the insurance, right?
Yeah.
Or, yeah, nobody can
I
predict
wouldn't
that.
have lost the money that I have.
I got you. Well, you can't. Yeah, that's true. We can't really predict.
I didn't win in this one. I'd rather
No, you're smart. Your experience, right? So you might know an industry very well, right? And you know for sure this is a great opportunity. The guys have 3 exits, right? I mean, it's a pretty big bet. But then there might be another option where you don't know anything about the industry, you like it, or you like this concept, and you don't know, you don't have a lot of knowledge about it, this could be a point where you want to buy some insurance.
Okay, and then I have two other questions, which is, you mentioned that you have products already, because the rewards product was already, they were coming up with a comprehensive solution that's starting to squeeze you out of that market already, right?
AIG?
Yes.
No, that's the equity crowdfunding side,
But
but they're insuring against fraud, which is everyone's concern. Are these real companies on these portals or not? What we're doing is we're insuring against the business failure. Okay?
Okay,
But on the reward side, we're the ones doing this. As far as we know, we actually talked to Indiegogo. They tried to do this 3 years ago.
and how does it work? If I promise that I'm gonna write a book, and I take Laura's money, then if I don't write the book, how could you insure it?
So you have to hit your limit, right? So if you're trying to get money for your book, but you have to hit your limit. If you don't hit your limit, everyone gets their money back.
Sure.
But if you hit your limit, you have to give them the book or whatever reward that you choose to give them. Now, what's been happening lately is for some reason, one reason or another, there's all these different reasons, they can't deliver the reward, right? So everyone's getting upset, So what we're doing is we're insuring against that. So if somebody, funds your book and you get to the level you want to go to,
And I don't write the book,
and then you don't write the book,
you get all that money.
I'll take care of it, don't worry.
Yeah, okay, interesting. So I have, my concerns were being this complexity factors, right, on it, players. And the other one would be just the cost model of those premiums,
Right.
especially for the knowledgeable investors.
Sure.
That could bring down the average return over time. Those would be
I
my-
totally get it. It's not gonna be for everybody. VCs, they already diversify the risk. High net worth angels also do. As you move down, people don't diversify as much. But that's not to say that you might do it every once in a while. So it's one of those things you might do sometimes you might not.
Very well, thank you.
Sure.
You started making a comment. I'm sorry. A comment about Indiegogo tried to do something. What did they try to do? Can you finish that?
Yeah, so 3 years ago, we talked to their executives. They tried to do this 3 years ago. The rewards insurance. And for one reason or another, it didn't work out, but I think they were spread too thin. They didn't have the resources for this.
Do you know why?
Well, they told us that, and then they told us they didn't want to put up the reserves for the tobacco. So they would like a third party to do it. So that's why we're talking. Right? But we started with this before we started talking. We just kind of threw it out there to see if they'd be interested. So, and we talked to Rocket Hub. The CEO likes this a lot, and it's one of those things that I think it's going to build in time.
And so Rocket Hub, why do they like? What exactly do they like and why?
Because what happens is this, so they want people to return, right? So right now, we're probably going to see a little bit of a dip because people are getting this bad taste in their mouth, right? That cooler thing, right? And then there's other campaigns. They're just not paying out for one reason or another. So people, they're not trusting this form anymore. I mean, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to still do it. But there's people that are leaving, you want return visitors, don't you? You want return investors. So this is a way to kind of reduce that anxiety, I guess, mitigate the risk for them. If they had a bad experience, they can come back now and buy the insurance, right? Because they want more users, they want people to return. So this is an incentive. Some people take advantage of it, some won't. So they like that, right? Plus they can make a rev share off of it too.
Yeah. So one more question, a couple of comments. So from your perspective, if you guys are just essentially like reselling a wrapper, right? Because you've got a balance sheet behind you, you've got an insurance company behind you, and you're saying, how does the end customer absorb all that margin that you guys have to have and make this economically viable?
So what we've done is we've created a range that we can live with when it comes to a premium, okay? Now, the underwriter, they're the ones with the power because they've got the reserves, it's their pay, right? So they come to us and say, this is how much we want. And then we figure out our service fee on top of that. But we try to keep it as low as possible because we want to keep attracting the investors so they'll buy the insurance. So
Yes.
it's dynamic. This is kind of changing, right? I mean, every category is a little bit different. More people are going to buy it for technology type campaigns as opposed to art, for example, but there's going to be some people that buy for art. So it's the underwriter tells us what they want, and then we kind of go off that.
Sure. So just a couple of thoughts on, one thing in the presentation, I think these are two really different products and they're different types of customers. And I think in a pitch, it's somewhat challenging and confusing to just understand how to differentiate the two because just very different strategies. And like I think about even Roberto was like going down this curve of like year 1, year 2, year 3, which is actually really interesting and revealing.
Yeah.
But like so for a product like that, understanding like what's like your risk adjusted, like where you're targeting returns and what type of insurance you're really offering to understand like where's that delta and why does this make some kind of it's economically viable. I think that's going to be really helpful for investors to get these different parcels.
Okay.
And then just one suggestion. There's a really interesting company based here right in Houston, different business, but they did something interesting that might be something for you guys to take a look at. They're in the litigation finance space. They're called LitCap. They've created like their own proprietary way of scoring folks who are seeking capital, and then those who are trying to provide it.
Yeah.
And their kind of secret sauce is how they're able to price and the way that they've done so to provide capital for those who need it. So it's a little bit of
It's like a risk score on
yeah, I mean, so it's whatever. It's like eBay and people who sell products and scoring it. But like, how do you do that and provide some kind of value where if you're working back within these various platforms to integrate the product? I think one of the challenges you're going to have, if ultimately you're not the person providing the balance sheet to resell this, what becomes this real differentiation that you guys provide that helps people really understand how to think through what they're getting, like where they're investing on, at least on the side of the investment, versus when I think of supporting a Kickstarter campaign where it's just more value-based, it's more alignment, it's more of a belief, it's more of just sharing the spirit with the entrepreneur or looking at the value of those pieces. But really, I think thinking through like what is that area of differentiation that helps you guys say, this is what we do, and this is why we're different, and this is why we provide this unique value to our customers.
So, thank you.
Tarek, I'm going to ask you some questions after because we're running late. So thank you so much for the presentation.
Oh, thank you.
All right, and last but not least, watch your work.
Hi everyone. 6, 8, 478, 0, and 28. My name is Denise Hamilton. I'm founder and CEO of WatchHerWork.com, and I am tired of these numbers. Men hold 6 of the 9 Supreme Court justice seats. There are 81% of all corporate board positions. 478 of the Fortune 500 are led by men. And we have 0 female presidents in our beloved history. And we still make 28 cents of every dollar. Women aren't smart? No. We're more than half of the population, and we earn more than half of the higher advanced degrees. So what's the gap? Why aren't we getting into leadership? I think because, in essence, we have a bit of a stalled revolution. We're not hitting the numbers that we should hit. I mean, for the last 10 years, we haven't gotten more than 12% of board seats, irrespective of the effort that has been put in these different areas. For the U.S. to be 60th in the world in political empowerment for women is embarrassing. I think we can do better. Now, I know what you're saying. Why don't we just get a mentor? I've heard that since I was about 18 years old, which is almost 30 years ago. And, mentorship model has real challenges for women. Listen, less than 34% of women boast a successful mentor-mentee relationship. That number goes down to 14% as they age and move up in the organization, which is ironic because when you just start your career, you're trying to figure out where the bathroom is. But who's going to show you where the boardroom is? That's why Watch Your Work was born. We are a digital platform that crowdsources professional advice for women. How do you negotiate severance? How do you tell your boss you're pregnant? How do you ask for a raise? If you're going through in vitro and you're hormonal, should you tell your boss or your coworkers? No one in this room knows the answers to all these questions, but we believe that together, we all do. We crowdsource on our multimedia digital platform that wisdom by videotaping women who are very successful in small segments. To provide that content, we curate it and categorize it on the web so you have access to it when you need it. These are some of the subjects that we cover on the site. These are areas that impact a woman's success professionally. And we do it using video, 1 to 3 minute segments, so it's searchable. I don't need a relationship for you to tell me how to negotiate severance. Like, why can't I look it up? Why can't we just get the information and decouple it from relationship? Why is video important? Because I think we need what I call true diversity. Listen, if you're tall, you're short, you're thin, you're fat, you're pretty, you're not, you're an introvert, you're an extrovert, all of these factors impact professional success for women. So to be able to go on the site and find yourself, find that soft-spoken woman that runs that division, find that loud woman that is penetrating that boardroom. You can find yourself and identify and model that behavior. We need more models. And I don't know about the women that I know that are really successful. If they could, they would mentor 10,000 women each. They just don't have the time. So this captures their experience and leverages it across the multimedia platform. We have 2 user groups, career and commercial. Our target group is professional women ages 25 to 55 and advertisers and sponsors. 73 million working women are in the United States of America. And this group controls 2/3 of spending in our country. 70% of them have children, and 40% of them are the primary or sole breadwinner. We have to empower and educate this group to start penetrating leadership. The time has come. If you look at these stats, they're pretty high. So these are the women that are making the decisions, and it's important that we capture them and speak to them in a respectful way. Unfortunately, when you talk about our commercial users, of the $175 billion that are spent on targeting consumers, women have been surveyed time and time again saying that advertisers do not understand them. We think that we provide a platform to connect advertisers with the women they're trying to reach. How are we going to do it? Corporate partners, Career Builder, Schlumberger, Shell are all partners that we're in discussions with now to deploy this to their workforce, as well as women's organizations. We have a boots on the ground model of about 500 organizations throughout the country that we literally are picking up the phone and saying, can you push your membership to our site? Man to man, as you would. Bloggers and influencers. Right now, we have about 178 videos on the site, and our average user stays on the site 32 minutes. In the new environment, we already have 3,000 in the can with the goal of having 5,000 by the end of the year. So you can just imagine how long women are going to stay on this site. And also, we have a mechanism where bloggers, influencers, coaches, teachers can upload their own video. Just because you don't live in New York or LA, just because you live in Nebraska or Kansas, doesn't mean you don't have a valuable experience to share with our audience. So this way, wherever you are, you can contribute, creating a really dynamic social platform. Who am I? I have a background in Fortune 100 firms, AOL and CBRE. I started my own company, and that's gone national. And I've worked in small business, I've worked in so many different environments, which is why I've been first and the only, either African American or woman, in more environments that I can tell you. So I've had these experiences, I know these women, and I know what they're looking for. Who are our advisors? They're amazing women from all over the country, in tech, in media, and in economic development. And they've been amazing assets. Who are our competitors? It's kind of difficult to define because we're a new way of approaching an old problem. First, the coaching industry, second fastest growing in the country, but there's no quality control. What's a good coach? And what's a good coach for you? There's no way to assess that today. Also, print and digital publications. 6 million blog posts are written a day. Who has time to suss through all that? And I don't know about you, but I'm tired of 5 questions you should ask on your interview. We need to talk about the real topics that really matter and people really care about. Also, career websites. Unfortunately, they tend to target millennials, which I don't really understand because the person that's closest to the C-suite is me. It's not a 22-year-old. Revenue streams. How are we going to make money? And we still are figuring this out every day. Advertising and sponsorship are kind of the obvious de facto. But selling training bundles are what the corporate partners are asking us to do. For example, you're a new executive. Here's 15 videos that you should watch in sequence with training supplemental information. Also, product marketing and sales. Once you're used to coming to Watch Her Work for advice on a particular problem, why wouldn't you take advice on a product? A charger for your phone that fits into your purse. Luggage that's light for business travel. There's a lot of applications for product marketing. Also, in the fall, we're planning a premium membership, setting up a paywall where on the other side of it is longer classes, longer training, more developed content. Because our 1 to 3 minute videos will have commercials between them, just like YouTube. So if you want to get out of that that commercial environment and have a commercial or ad-free and deeper content, you can do that through the premium membership. Events. I just got approached to host a Super Bowl activity for women with the Super Bowl committee in the city of Houston. I'm getting tapped to kind of gather powerful women together to have these important conversations. And then data. One of the things that I have been fortunate to do is as I've interviewed all these women, I'm seeing trends that even as old as I am, I had never heard anybody talk about. For example, we have been beating men over the head with sexual harassment training for years. But you know what was a theme across 40 to 50% of my interviews was that support staff are the most sabotaging forces for young female executives. So are we doing any special training for support staff about how to make sure they're treating male executives and female executives the same? I hadn't heard that. So that's something that came out of the data that I think we have only begun to scratch the surface. We have a polling function on the site that is, for example, how many people have been sexually harassed in the last year? Did you go to HR? Why or why not? Wouldn't you like to know? Interesting data. Why did I do this? I did this because I really believe you shouldn't have to have powerful friends to have powerful information. What I'm asking for today is not money, surprisingly, but it is, I'm looking for a technical co-founder, I'm looking for mentorship, and looking for powerful strategic partnerships. The biggest challenge to my company or my organization is that there's an ecosystem around women's empowerment in the country that being in Houston, it's kind of hard to penetrate. So I'm looking for powerful relationships that can help me broaden my brand and create a new movement for Watch Her Work. Watch Her Work, her life, your lesson.
Congratulations. I think it's a great presentation, and I love the space. I think that this topic is critically important. And I think that you're on something, so I congratulate you for being in this space. I think that we need a lot more effort here, right? So, yeah, when you talk about competition, I would love to see a lot more competition because we need a lot more to solve all these problems, right? So I guess we're in sync. Let me start just to have three main topics. The first one is, are you thinking of having this thing be a for-profit or a non-profit organization?
For-profit.
So walk me through that, because both things give you access to different capabilities and different sources of potential for the company, right? When you go for profit, you get access to capital and you can have investors who are going to look at a return for the money. When you go non-profit, right, then you can have access to a tremendous amount of goodwill and donations and grants and these things. And I mention this because in this particular space, my gut feeling is that I don't know what are your personal goals with the company, but I think that this is something that as a non-profit, doesn't mean you cannot pay yourself a very good salary, right? But as a non-profit, you would tap into a whole new network of volunteers and people who believe in this very important work, right? So talk to me a little bit about that, or what are your thoughts on that?
It's an emotional answer. I really resist the idea of this being charitable. I think this is a service that women will pay for. I think it's a service that advertisers should pay for. I think it's worthy of being paid for. I have considered maybe doing a foundation or some type of arm of Watch Your Work that's nonprofit. And I'm always exploring this issue every day. So you ask me next week and I may say, maybe that's what I should.
But I'm not saying that it should be free.
Right.
I think not-for-profit doesn't mean free, and it doesn't mean charitable, right? It just means that at the end of the day, if you have profit in the company, right, you're going to reinvest in doing more of this type of work. So, as a matter of fact, in terms of how to monetize it, that's my second thing. Which I think you should charge for a subscription,
Yeah.
right? And I think that the idea of merchandising is also great. So the thought of non-profit is not equating it to charity, right? Not-for-profit, you can still have subscription fees, and you can still have paywalls, and you can still have, if you want advertising, right? You can still have merchandise. The only question is, what happens to the dollars that get, that flow to the bottom line at the end of the day? And that's a very personal decision. Whether you want to say, no, I want this to grow into a big company, maybe I'll sell it, right? And that's fine. But you could also say, no, I want this to be a non-for-profit, so it's never going to be sold, it's going to grow. And I mention this because when you're talking about, for example, videotaping 1 to 3 minute videos and interviewing powerful women, role models, right? I think that when you're talking about a commercial enterprise and you say, hey, I'd like to film you, they're going to say, well, what's in it for me, right? And you might say, well, it's for a good cause. Yes, but it's a commercial company, so it's like any other person, right? A non-profit would elicit a tremendous more of a groundswell of support. So just for you to consider, think about it. And I think I can, in regards to some of the connections that you want, those kind of things you can talk afterwards, and I can maybe help you with something like that.
Fantastic.
Love your energy. Love it, love it, love it. And I know some of your advisors, so you're in a great company. Also feel passionate about the subject. Shameless plug. Ty Houston is going to be featuring Carolyn Rods. I don't know if you know Carolyn, but on June 7th over at Knoll Furniture Showroom in Groves to talk about women's entrepreneurship and what she's doing so So fully support what you're doing. So one of the things, within your pitch, what I didn't understand clearly is your business and your business model. And I got a little more confused when, I think there's a lot of imagineering into the different revenue streams of what the business could be. But you also have data. I think you mentioned you have 3,000 active users.
Videos and it's ready to go to deploy in the new environment.
Yes, so can you just hone in and say, look, here's our business, this is our business model, this is the way we plan on making, executing our business, at least as part of our 1.0 or part of our launch plan.
Okay. So a couple of different ways. First, it's just standard advertising, and we have partners that will be selling our inventory, and obviously every video is on a page, and they have commercials between them, so the sheer inventory that I have to sell is a really high amount of spaces. So then sponsorship. For example, what Shell is interested in is there's two ways. A company can say, I love what you're doing, here's $50,000 a year, $25,000 a year to support the effort. And they're doing that even in a for-profit environment. So there's that. But then there's also, for example, Career Builder is saying, okay, if you set up the paywall, and let's say it's $5 a month for a membership, and so there's free videos that are 1 to 3 minutes on the free side, and behind the paywall, it's deeper content, it's richer, it's more curated, it's longer interviews, and it's commercial free. And if that's $5 a month, Career Builder gives you $50,000, and everyone in their ecosystem has access for that one fee for a year. So that's the primary way. And this idea is still new. It's still forming, to be honest. For example, I just got approached by the Girls Lounge. They want to license my content. And I was like, wait, I don't even know what that means. That's something I had not even conceived. So I think the biggest challenge I have right now is everybody has an idea of how I can make money off of this, and really being careful about making sure I build an amazing environment that people want to come to and want to stay in, and then carefully approach each way of monetizing it. But that's really the first kind of plan, is the membership, and with specifically corporate partners that purchase memberships on an annual basis for their employees.
Yeah, so like we have a similar model with Station, which is like building community. We've got members who pay a subscription, and then you're trying to build a community. And I think within this part, right? I think the part of the suggestion here is you've got a mission, right? You've got a purpose, and there's a real vision within your organization and why it exists. And so I think balancing that part of like, here's our vision. This is what we want to empower and do, and how do you make that accessible to the people you're trying to reach, and then look at what those monetization piece is. So we got into, in order for, join our platform. You have this wonderful library of access. Here's the way that we perform search, or here's the way that we enable you to get linked up with the resources you're seeking or close to you, whatever that part is. I think that's part of your technology
local
stack.
activation and
Yeah, Laura can help you with that. But then, what that piece then is like, here's our business model. This is the way we involve the corporate community. This is how they, align themselves with marketing dollars, for those pieces to align with our brand. And I think dial in those pieces. Let your data tell you what that piece is. Because my concern would be you get pulled into, I call it Imagineering of all these different things versus like, here's what we're doing, here's how we're executing the business, and you go.
Good presentation. We have a women in tech group at Tri-One specifically to discuss these topics. And it's interesting, a lot of men join because they bring in women speakers, and we want to learn how we can participate more.
I love that. And if I can interrupt you, there's a section on the site called What's With Her that my husband came up with. He said, you need a site about what's with her because women are crazy. And so it's a site where men can write in questions that they feel like they can't ask in the work environment. And I put on Facebook, hey, I'm doing this, and I got 60 questions in 15 minutes. So y'all are angry.
It's definitely
Or confused.
stimulating conversation for sure. So just a couple of things. One is I agree with some of the feedback. I kind of got lost in the presentation. I mean, there was a really important message that you were trying to convey, but I felt like it was kind of noisy with all the different things that was going on. So I would definitely simplify it. To me, it just comes down to content, right? So you said you have 3,000 videos. Who's making those videos? Okay, so think about how you're going to scale that, right? So I think you opened it up by saying something about crowdfunding or crowdsourcing.
Crowdsource.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we in the new site, which launches in 2 weeks, we have a current site up now, but we have a new one that's launching in 2 weeks. You will be able to upload a video, and if it meets our standards, we'll put it on the site. And the benefit of that is, if you are a coach in Nebraska and you have 5,000 Facebook friends, you're going to share that on Facebook, that you're on this site. So it's kind of plant seeds all over the country of people that are pushed now to the environment.
Yeah, so I mean, I would look at basically video platforms, Vimeo, YouTube, for some examples on how to monetize, right? But that comes much later. What you need is a tremendous amount of scale in terms of density of content for people to feel like, I want to go to this site and I want to watch the videos and get something out of it, right? And to John's point, as you watch your traffic numbers increase, week over week over month over month, then you can think about, okay, what's the right appropriate model, right? It's still too early for that. So if my one suggestion would be just zero in and just one thing. I know Super Bowl is really cool and everything, but zero just one thing, which is getting a lot of videos that are meaningful, that we will care about on the site, and cut all the noise out. That's one way that I think we can do this. Thank you.
Thank you guys, everybody. Thank you for coming out tonight. Y'all can hang out for another about half an hour or so and network. Thank you to our mentors. Thank you to the startups. Thank you to everybody. We'll see you guys next month.